Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. My name is Kathy Wright, and I am Booth Manager, Strategic Contracting and Procurement. Welcome to the first presentation in our four-part Oasis Plus series, Introduction to Oasis Plus. Our presenter for today is Nick DeBraccio, or Nick D for short. Nick is a senior contracts consultant with Booth and helps our clients with all things contracts, from redlining and negotiating NDAs, teaming agreements, subcontracts, and other assorted contractual documents, to developing contracts, policies, and procedures. The presentation portion of today's event will last about 45 minutes, and we will conclude with a question and answer session for the last 15 minutes. Please use the Zoom questions feature to send me your questions as they come up, and I'll pass them to Nick at the end. We know you're going to enjoy this presentation, so without further ado, over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Kathy. Hello, and thank you for joining today. As Kathy said, I'm Nick DeBraccio. I'm a senior consultant here at Boost, specializing in contracts, and I'll be guiding you through an introduction to the GSA Oasis program. This presentation is designed to give you an overview of what Oasis Plus is, the structure of the contract, the opportunities it offers for small businesses, and essential steps for getting started. If you're new to Oasis Plus or looking to learn more about how this program can benefit your business, you're in the right place. Please keep in mind that we're going to have more detailed webinars going forward, but this is a good overview and a good place to just get started to learn the fundamentals of Oasis Plus. Okay, so what is Oasis Plus? Oasis Plus stands for One Acquisition Solution for Integrated Services Plus, and is part of the GSA suite of government-wide contracts, also known as GWACs. It's designated best in class. And it's acquisition vehicle that's designated best in class by OMB, which means it's rigorously vetted and by federal agencies, and it basically is seen as something that gives significant value and efficiency for the government. Uh, and with this type of best in class GWAC, it allows federal agencies to streamline and use the vehicle confidently without the additional need of justifications and approvals. That's not saying that they don't need justification approvals to solicit services, but the process is a lot faster and more streamlined. The contract has a 10-year ordering period, 5 years initially, with an option for 5 additional years. Throughout this time, it's the main goal of GSA is to have this as a flexible, comprehensive solution for agencies to procure a wide range of services. So you can expect as a contract holder to have hopefully, potentially multiple customers, be it customers from the DoD, the Intel space, or civil agencies. Kathy, next slide, please. All right, key features of Oasis Plus. Okay, now let's talk about some of the standout features that makes Oasis Plus unique. First, there's no ceiling on the total value of task orders that can be awarded, meaning you could have an award as low as $10,000 or high as $1 billion. This means you can pursue substantial projects without the constraint of the overall dollar cap. Additionally, Oasis Plus supports multiple contract types like firm fixed price, cost reimbursement, and time and materials, providing flexibility depending on the task requirements. So this really gives the contracting officers at the procuring agencies a lot of quivers, and a lot of arrows in their quiver, basically, so they can uh, custom tailor their needs to the contract. They're basically customize the contract to their needs. I apologize. And here's something that's particularly valuable for businesses: continuous on-ramping. So if you're on here and you realize, oh shoot, did I miss something? Did I miss the ability to get on to Oasis Plus? The answer is no. Unlike some other contracts that are only open at set times, Oasis Plus allows businesses to join at specific points during the contract life cycle, meaning that there's more than one chance to become an Oasis Plus contractor, and there's opportunity to actually diversify your set of contracts going forward. Kathy, next slide, please. The structure of Oasis Plus contracts. Oasis Plus is organized into what we call domains. Each domain represents a functional grouping of services such as technical and engineering, management advisory, or logistic services. Small businesses can qualify in one or more of these domains, depending on their capabilities and interests. To compete in a domain, a business has to have a demonstrable expertise and experience in that area. So the structured approach helps agencies quickly identify and select the best contractor for their specific needs. For example, if you have a specialty in T&E, and the government's looking for T&E services, so technical engineering, they'll get that list of T&E awardees, and they're able to blast the RFQ to all those awardees quickly. This saves a lot on the request for information side of things, or the market research, because the government has a list of capable and vetted contractors that can actually bid after that work. And as you can see, there's all of the domains listed on the slide. Keep in mind that the Oasis Plus is not specifically for IT services. It can be IT service adjacent, but not specifically for soliciting IT services. The government and GSA has determined that their other contracting vehicles specific to IT is what they want to push for that type of work. Kathy, next slide, please.
Thank you, Nick. We're gonna pause right here for just a moment. We do have some polling questions for everyone. The first one is, my company either received or expects to receive an Oasis Plus award in the following domains. So if you would, when the poll, we would appreciate your answers. And oh wow, everyone's participating. It looks great. And right away, I think the vast majority are looking for management and advisory, followed by technical and engineering as a close second. Results still coming in, and those still are the two lead domains. Yes, and now I think those are the winners. Most of today's participants, Nick, are seeking the management and advisory and the technical and engineering domains.
Great.
That's awesome. Thanks for the participation. And
yes, thank you, everybody. Just want to throw that out there too. We have somebody aggregating questions in the chat, so feel free to drop questions in the chat. I won't be getting to them immediately. We'll do it at the end for the Q&A. But feel free to ask questions, and we'll try to answer that as best as we can on this. Some questions might be answered on subsequent webinars, but we'll try to get an answer to you today. And if not, we can always email you a direct answer as well upon more research.
yes.
All right.
Thank you for that. There is a questions button. I think the chat is disabled for participants, but there's a questions button that'll bring us your questions, and I'll have them all in one place. So, but thank you. And yes, please bring us the questions as they come. Outstanding. All right. Thank you, Nick.
Yep. Next slide. And just to throw it out, the more questions you ask, there's no dumb questions. The better conversation we can have at the end, and be beneficial for everybody. Okay, so the benefits for small business. So this is the one big advantage of Oasis Plus, is that it has a clear focus on small business participation. It has set-asides for various small business categories, including Hub Zone, service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, and also just small businesses in general. This setup means small businesses can compete within their specific set-aside group, increasing their chances of winning a task order. So you have your swim lanes. You don't have to worry about large businesses coming in. If it's a woman-owned small business set aside, the pool of candidates, potential companies that you're going to bid against, and basically the government can laser focus what set aside area they want to award the work under. So it's both a win for the government for the small business goals, and a win for those demographic groups that want targeted solicitations for what they represent. So another exciting feature for small businesses is called lateral springboarding, which allows businesses to add new domains to their master contracts as their capabilities grow. So let's say, if you're focusing on management advisory, but later you want to expand to technical services, you can apply to add that domain to your contract. Generally, that occurs during the ongoing enrollment process. but you do have that ability. So hopefully, as your company's growing and you're gaining more and more expertise, you can actually check off the box and compete in every single domain if you'd like. Keep in mind, though, that the same criteria and requirements at the proposal phase would still apply for when you apply for that new domain. So that you still need to get the minimum number of points and past performance to qualify. Kathy, next slide, please. Okay, so I think this would be interesting for everybody on the call. Finding awardees, particularly in SAM.gov. So since this is public information, you can find all awardees on SAM.gov. So here's a sample link that gives you the SDVOSB set aside winners. So in SAM, you can navigate and you can see there's an Excel link. And in that Excel link, they give you a comprehensive table of everybody that was awarded that particular set aside or contract, their POCs, their cage codes, the domains that they won, the ones that they didn't get awarded as well. And this is handy too, is when you're looking after a potential bid in an RFQ, and you want to see, okay, who am I potentially going against for this? Or, okay, who in my area can help me, team with me on this. So it's a very like I said, it lists everybody. So there's no missing data. The government has to represent and show everybody that won. So it's good, cheap, cheap being free, competitive intelligence that you can use to your benefit for going forward with future teaming opportunities or future RFQs. Kathy, next slide, please. Okay. So minimum order and performance requirements. This is critical. So on each contract, there's a guaranteed minimum award of $2,500, which is pretty much for all the aggravation you have to go through to get the Oasis award. It's a token amount, just the minimum that the government will give you, basically, just to say congratulations. But there is also a performance threshold. You're expected to secure at least $250,000 in task orders within the first 5 years of the contract's life. If you're unable to do it, the government may choose not to extend the contract into the additional 5 year period. Now, the contracting officers at GSA do have flexibility and some wiggle room where they say, okay, let's say you come in at $230,000, but you're really trying your marketing efforts. You went after a lot of work. You tried your best. They might say, okay, but it's subjective and it's up to their interpretation. Um, but if, for example, you come in, you only get $50,000 in sales, no matter how hard you try, the government might say it's not worth it for us to maintain this contract with you. Try again maybe another time, basically. So the threshold helps ensure that the contractors remain actively engaged and competitive under Oasis. They don't want you to just have it and put it on the shelf collecting dust. They want you to actively get work on the contract and funnel money through the vehicle as much as possible. GSA has made it a priority to use this as a flagship vehicle, so they want it to be seen as such by industry and their government customers. Next slide, please, Kathy. Okay, so I think we're going to pause for another poll right now.
Yes, yes. So the second polling question is about the challenges that you all expect when you're performing on an Oasis Plus task order. It is a multiple choice. You should be able to, oh, wow. Thank you for the feedback. So what I'm seeing is the reporting requirements are daunting, and I think everyone on the call would agree with that, or anyone who has a current GSA schedule or a GWAC. The reporting requirements are extensive. Competing in Oasis Plus, even though you're singled down to business sizes and domains, that's a concern. Cybersecurity is up there. The smallest answer we're seeing right now is using the eBuy system. Folks seem to be comfortable with that. And so it's neck and neck between the reporting requirements and competing with others to win the task order awards. That's really great. Thank you again for the feedback.
That's fantastic. So just everybody is aware, and we'll mention it again at the end. we do have another webinar coming up next week, hosted by Bree, that will go over the reporting requirements and some information on that. Believe me, you're not alone. As you can see, that the poll results shared with everybody that it is a top concern, and understandably, there is a lot of reporting requirements, and it can be confusing sometimes. And hopefully, next week when you get to meet with Bree and talk with her on the webinar, that you'll have some clarity on that. And we're always here to help with that at Boost. Okay, so some of you may be wondering, what happens if we grow beyond the small business size standard? So during the contract, you can be considered a large, right? No longer small. Under Oasis Plus, your status is determined at the time of award. So, say day one of the award, you're a service disabled veteran-owned small business. For the life of the contract, you're considered that, meaning that you can continue to perform your task orders against the vehicle even if your business grows. However, you might need to recertify for certain task orders as they're being awarded if the agency requests it. Now, according to current SBA guidance and the FAR, it is May. So the contracting officer has discretion to request recertification at the time of the task order award, but they're not obligated to. And typically, they don't require you to recertify. That may change within the next year or so, depending on current proposed SBA guidance, where the government's going to compel contracting officers where they have to force contractors to recertify on each task order. So that would change things, and it might disqualify you from on future work, depending on when this potential guidance gets released. But generally, the flexibility as is right now, it ensures your business can grow and still benefit from the master contracts without automatically losing eligibility. Again, so you please try to stay up to date on the changing environment. Boost is always here. We have a pulse on that at all times. So if you have any questions about that or want clarity on the proposed SBA regulations, just please let us know, and we're happy to help out. Okay, so in general too, when you go out of the contract, let's say you grow out, it gets put on the shelf. The government doesn't terminate it. They don't end the contract. It just goes dormant. And in theory, let's say that you are no longer, for some reason, you were small, but you graduate out, but then something happens and you requalify, the NAICS code catches up and you lose some business and you qualify as a small again. Well, guess what? You can reactivate that contract again. So you can reactivate it when the rolling window is open. So if GSA says, okay, hey, we're adding small businesses again on a rolling basis, you can basically reapply and just it takes that contract off the shelf and you can dust it off and start using it again, which is great too. Because there are ebbs and flows in businesses, and some businesses are small and then they go large and they go back to small again, or the demographic classifications change. You have new ownership where you become a woman-owned small business, right? So and then sometimes you just become a regular small business based on circumstances. The threshold is below 51%. You no longer qualify as a woman-owned small business. Well, you can put that on the shelf, and you can still proceed as a small business, basically. Next slide, Kathy. Okay, the Oasis Plus acquisition process. So, how do the agencies use Oasis Plus to issue contracts? So basically, they're going to issue you a task order issued through the eBuy platform. So it's a centralized and streamlined system that they use already for various GWACs right now and schedules, and they use it to manage the requests to and from contractors that submit the proposals. Hopefully, some of you on the call probably have experience with it already. It's pretty straightforward once you're registered, and you'll see all your GSA schedules that use eBuy will be all in one central location, which is quite convenient, especially in Oasis Plus. If you qualified for more than one demographic category, it pretty much has you covered. So with eBuy, the agencies can solicit offers and award task orders more efficiently because it's just one-stop shop for them, and you have the single secure platform to view and respond to the opportunities. So there's no lost links. You can just look it up. You find the RFP number, you can search it and pull all necessary documentation. It's a lot cleaner and a lot easier to deal with. To participate in Oasis Plus, so keep in mind if you're trying to bring some of your existing work onto Oasis Plus, that your contracting officers at the cognizant agency need to get a delegation of procurement authority, otherwise known as a DPA, which authorizes them to use task orders under Oasis Plus. The good news is that DPA is relatively minor. It's some additional training that they have to take. It's like a webinar, like online class they have to take. And once they do that, they're usually granted authority to proceed with awarding under Oasis Plus, which is quite convenient. So if you have some hesitation from your contracting officer or they're worried about getting the delegation of procurement authority, you can reassure them that it's a pretty straightforward and easy process. So you can encourage them to use your vehicle. Next slide, Kathy, please. Okay. Getting started with Oasis Plus. If you're interested in getting started with Oasis Plus, the first steps you need to take is get on the GSA Vendor Support Center, so the VSC. You're going to also need an account for on FedConnect for managing any contract mods. And then it's also recommended by GSA that you join the GSA Interact community, which is kind of like it's like a social page where businesses like can ask questions, they ask for help. It's like an open community where you can get updates and network with fellow contractors and agencies. So from a BD perspective, it might be valuable too to see who's asking what or find potential companies to link up with. Next slide, please, Kathy.
Okay, well, we're going to pause here. We have one more poll for this presentation, and this is about everyone's growth. When do you expect to outgrow your small business NACE code under Oasis Plus? And the answers are coming in. I see several of you plan to outgrow it within the first 5 years. It looks about 50-50 between the first 5 years and maybe it won't happen. If your business is new and you're just getting started, Oasis Plus is a great way to grow your business. So you get there, and with 5 years base and then 5 years after, that'll take you all the way to, I guess, an 8A graduation too, right? If you come in as an 8A business. Great. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this poll.
So that's good too. I mean, if you do outgrow your business starts outgrowing your NAICS, that's a good opportunity too because of the constant onboarding. You can go to the full and open. Let's say you're large and you're large for good. You can try to compete in the full and open portion of the GSA Oasis Plus. So, be competing with big guys, but you still have an opportunity to use the vehicle and the ease of use and the ability for the government to issue task orders under it. The whole point of it is to be streamlined and easier for your contracting officer or your agency to award based off your Oasis Plus ceiling rates. So if you want it, you should definitely try to use the vehicle as much as possible. Okay, so next steps for your business. A final takeaway is you should consider the domains that align best with your business's capabilities. Think about your growth potential under Oasis Plus, and always be prepared to go forward. And if you're developing capability, to go during the constant onboarding and apply for those additional domains, so you don't miss out on potential opportunities. So please remember too, we'll dive more in depth into topics like post-award management, on-ramping, and reporting in future webinars. We have one more this week with Megan, and then 2 more next week with Bree and Megan. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions for guidance on how to get started with Oasis Plus, or if you feel like you missed something here during this webinar, here to help and gladly answer your questions. And then please tune in to these additional webinars. I know Megan and Bree will cover these topics a lot more in depth than I have today, because today is basically just an introduction on how Oasis Plus works, and just so you get a cursory knowledge of what's going on.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nick, for the presentation. I really like the range of domains that Oasis Plus includes, and I believe it's a great vehicle for many, many GovCons. Now I'm going to queue up the questions and answers, and thank you to everyone who's put them in the panel. Let's see. Since there are active protests going on, when do you think on-ramping is going to start for Oasis Plus?
That's a good question. There's no clear guidance from GSA right now. But I would imagine that because they have awarded some of the demographic categories like women-owned small business and service disabled, veteran-owned, and so on, that they'll probably start the constant onboarding for those portions of the vehicle first, while they wait for the protest for like the standard small business set aside and the full and open. Um, so I think it's going to depend. I think they're probably going to do sliding scale. They're not going to open the floodgates all at once. I think they'll probably do it like they awarded it, basically in chunks, if I were to guess. But obviously it's up to the discretion of GSA, and they might change their mind at any time. So it's really up to them. I think right now, though, the concern is getting these awards out. But I think they're going to start accelerating it, once they get over this protest hump.
I think that sounds right to me too, Nick. And by continuous on-ramping, does that mean I can jump in at any time, or will the government limit on-ramping to, I don't know, once a year, twice a year, quarterly?
Um, so the official guidance, so unfortunately, it's kind of the title is kind of misleading, right? So they say it's continuous on ramping, but it doesn't mean that you can just apply it anytime, like on demand. GSA is going to open up the window periodically based on need, and allow new businesses to compete for the entry into the program. The frequency is up to the discretion of GSA, may vary. Um, but typically, I think the estimate right now is going to happen about once or twice per year. So you're looking at every 6 months or every year, depending on demand and agency requirements. So if GSA sees Oasis Plus succeeding and sees a lot of work getting funneled through, they may open it up more often just to accommodate that need for demand. But if Oasis Plus, for some reason, is not as successful as they thought in terms of dollars or work being awarded under it, they might slow it down. So it really depends on GSA's like their scheduling and how they anticipate it being utilized.
Yes. Can you briefly explain the process to onboard a new subcontractor during the ordering period? So
Sure.
they
So
open it
basic.
up. Is it a
Mhm.
proposal, or how do you do it?
Yeah. So so what they're going to do is going to be a lot. It's going to be very similar to the proposal process. So if you're onboarding for it, you would have to go in Symphony and pretty much submit another bid. But I do believe that GSA is going to pull over the items that you've provided before, but you're still going to have to reframe it and restructure it for your new, for example, if you're qualifying for a new demographic category. So you'd get this, show your certification for like a woman-owned small business, everything that you have to support that, and then you can probably reuse and recycle the stuff that you provided before for your domains. That being said, if it's a new domain, you're going to have to provide all the past performance and supporting documentation for that domain, like clean. So it'll be very similar to what the proposal process. So think of it more of like a mini proposal. So you don't have to go through, most likely you don't have to go through the whole proposal process again, but it's like a mini proposal to get you onboarded onto the different category or different demographic set aside.
Understood, understood. And then for those of you who are planning on attending other parts of the series, Megan Hand is going to be doing a webinar on the lateral springboarding and on ramping. That's 1 week from tomorrow at the same time. So you can come back and get a lot more detail on that one. We have a question. Does this apply to 8A? And Nick, I think you kind of answered that before, but if you could go back and 8A is a
Yes.
subset of small businesses, yes?
Yes, it is. Yep, there is an 8A subset. Yes, so it does apply to 8A and it is available. Um, if you did miss the window to bid on it, I'm pretty sure they're going to reopen the 8A window. I again, not to, so the ongoing continuous onboarding, I would see the government prioritizing small businesses and the set asides for onboarding more so than the full and open large, just because of the need to and the requirement to have small business contracting and the government's goals. So, um, yeah, thank you for the question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have one question that says, my company is less than 2 years old, but I would like to
Mhm.
prime soonest. Can you just give us like what's the revenue, past performance, and some of the criteria required to get into Oasis Plus? How does it
That
work?
I would Okay, so that I would have to get back to you. So it depends, right? So it really depends, and it depends on the company's capabilities and how they score against the competitive pool of offers on the contract. So basically, in each domain, you're ranked and awarded points. If I'm remembering correctly, so you have to weight, your company gets weighed against the basically a competitive range of other vendors and other contractors. So if you don't meet that threshold, GSA will not award to you. But if you do, based off your past performance and capabilities, and I do believe they look at price, they will award to you in that domain if you fit within that competitive range. So it's a long-winded answer to say it really depends on which domain, which set aside, and who you're competing against, basically, for the award.
Are all set aside groups other than small business, the general small business category, are they all treated as single groups or single master contracts in Oasis Plus?
Yes. Yep, they're all single contract. So if you have a service disabled veteran owned small business, which also qualifies as a hub zone and also qualifies as so woman owned hub zone, and let's say let's go 8A, woman owned hub zone 8A, you would get three contracts for each category. Um, which so three master contracts for each category, and if you go for the small too, you can get one for the small. But keep in mind, you need to actually submit proposals for each of those categories too. You can't submit one and expect to get the three or four master contracts. You have to submit proposals for each one and pick your domains for each one as well. Um, Also keep in mind that if you're bidding for certain work in a specific domain, let's say in service disabled veteran owned, you might not qualify for it on the small, just a regular small business general, just because the pool of potential bidders is much larger, right? There, as you go down in the demographic funnel, it's smaller and smaller competition size windows, and the number of competitors is a lot smaller. But as you get out more and more and more, it gets harder and harder because the competitive range is huge. You get more. The government gets a bigger sample of competitors, right? So you're competing with thousands on the full and open, right? So it's a lot harder to qualify for certain domains because you're competing against the big guys. You're competing against Northrop Grumman, GDIT, Booz Allen, L3 Harris, and all those guys. So keep in mind those guys have years of experience and capability, so it's much harder to compete in that domain. So just to keep that in mind as well.
That makes a lot of sense. So for new entrants wanting to get on to Oasis Plus, do they go to sam.gov? Do they go to the GSA Oasis Plus web? We know the task orders are going to be in eBuy because you mentioned that
Mhm.
in your presentation, but where do they go to get started?
Okay, so I would first go to the GSA Oasis Plus website and look for official GSA guidance. And then I would also monitor SAM for when the GSA releases the RFP because uh, they always have to upload the RFP and the basically the enrollment onto sam.gov also. So you go verify the RFP documents on there, and it'll say like it's open solicitation and the due dates. But I'd always bug GSA first, check their website. You can also on their website they give I think email resources and phone numbers, so you're always free to ask them, or you can always ask us here at Boost too. We can look into that for you as well. As we go along, because we do have clients that are on Oasis Plus, we are aware of the deadlines and the shifting requirements that the government provides. So we're here to help as well.
Absolutely. So there's a question, does the government have a forecast of what's coming out of Oasis Plus? And I don't know if we know that the government has not even really a budget, but a forecast that they're going to spend a lot of money in Oasis
Yep.
Plus. I think I saw $130 billion somewhere
hmm
over the next 10 years. But have you seen any more intel on what they'll
I
do?
haven't I haven't seen a specific number. I do recall during the kickoff webinar that GSA had for contract holders that they definitely wanted to. So if you take Oasis, the original Oasis, and make that number bigger, so whatever that number is, they want it to be bigger than Oasis, the original Oasis. So Oasis Plus, they want it to be bigger than Oasis by a substantial margin, from what I remember. I don't have the exact number, but if somebody wants a ballpark figure, take the Oasis, what's been awarded under Oasis, and then multiply that by a factor, and then you get the general goal of the government. Um, and I think too, it's not just dollar values. I think the government wants volume of procurements under there too. So they want to have volumes of solicitations under Oasis Plus to show that to the agencies that, hey, we could, this is best in class contract. This is a great example of how we can save you time, money, energy, effort by just funneling as much work as we can through Oasis Plus. And that's the beauty of it too, right? There's no ceiling amount on it, so they can award as much as they please. So I think that's what GSA's mission is to push as much as possible onto this contract. But again, their targets might change. And maybe if you want a more specific number, you can probably ask GSA, and they might tell you. It's public information, so they might be able to tell you what their goal is.
Okay. Okay. We have one person that said, hey, if I don't see my company in the awards that are on SAM, but we thought we were going to get an award, is it too late? Do we get a debrief? Where do we go from here?
Okay. So one, um, and you might want to just you can feel free to email us with your specifics to your company. But I'll try to answer it as best as I can with what I have right now. So there could be a couple of things. One could be the award that you think you're going to get. GSA hasn't. Just make sure GSA hasn't awarded it yet. And if you've seen the awardees list, they might have awarded it. Did you receive any communications from GSA, from the GSA.gov email uh, domain? GSA went out and notified awardees. First step was they asked for everybody to sign an extension during the phase where they were kind of delayed. So that was a couple of months ago. And then they proceeded with award notifications to the contracting, the COCOM basically. So the contract manager that was identified in the proposal, and I think another responsible party was also notified at your company. So make sure if you change contracts personnel in that time, it might be hitting a mailbox for that person. And if not, if nobody changed, or that your email address didn't change for that contracts person or whoever submitted the proposal, then you might want to uh, submit a ticket to GSA to see what's going on. I do believe you can request a debrief. It is your right to ask for it. I just don't know how backlogged GSA would be for that. But at a minimum, they should at least let you know where you scored in each domain, and then like where the gap was for you. Like I said, it might have been just a missed email too. But if you're not, my suspicion is though, if you're not in that final list of awardees for that category, then you're not going to get that contract most likely, unfortunately. But again, please feel free to email us with your details, and we can look into it for you as well. Gladly help out.
Yes, yes. I think the government is obligated to send an unsuccessful offer award, unless those of you on the call are super lucky. We've all seen one of those before, so you know what it looks like. And just bear in mind for a debrief, there is a time limit in the FAR to request that debrief. And I believe it's 5 days after you get your notification of unsuccessful offer. So if you are looking for a debrief, catch that letter and be brief. And right now, the awards are on a rolling basis. So it's my understanding that the government has not issued them all. If you have not gotten an unsuccessful offer or letter, you still could be getting a contract. So just stay tuned. Here's a tech question, kind of a tech question. If we have an existing eBuy account, do we need to link our Oasis Plus award to it? Or will the government do that? Will you be able to see that?
I do. So I actually did this today. You're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to manually link it. You can double check. Just if you go into eBuy, it should be there today. But if it's not, you're gonna have to manually link it, register your contract. So if you go to eBuy, the GCE eBuy site, you can scroll down. I'm sorry, I can't guide you through it right now, but if you scroll down on the website, there's a register contract. Basically, you can click that button and you enter in your contract number, your SAM UEI, and I think your email, and then it'll link. It should link everything up for you if it's not already there in your eBuy window when you log in.
Yep.
Kathy, I also just wanted to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
So I just remembered too. So for the regarding the on-ramping, the government said it should start so this fiscal year FY25, and they plan on it to be continuously open. But again, that is subject to change.
Yes.
So
Yes, of course. Um, Megan is talking about eBuy more in tomorrow's webinar. So if you're interested in eBuy and how it works with Oasis Plus, please tune in at the same time tomorrow for Megan Hand's first presentation in the series, and she will cover that for you. Here's another one, Nick. 10 years is a long contract duration with a 5-year base period and a 5-year option. Do you think the government may extend it longer if it's working well for agency users? What's your feel for that?
um, well, so pursuant to the FAR, the government can extend it beyond the 10 years, but generally it might be like a 6 month extension or so while they transition. So the government's, I think it's safe to say, typically doesn't want to go beyond a 10-year contract just for the way things are structured. But they can extend it for 6 months. I think what they'll do at that 8, 9 year mark, they'll start recompeting Oasis basically as a new vehicle. Maybe it'll be Oasis Plus Plus or Oasis Plus Two or whatever. So they'll likely award it as a new follow-on contract. That being said, though, let's say you're on year 10 and they award you a brand new task order. That task order can go out beyond the life of the Oasis base contract. So as long as you have pop alive on your contract, you can actually get awarded task orders beyond the life of your contract itself, just like an IDIQ would work on other vehicles as well.
Okay, that is the most of the questions. Some of them are variations on what you've heard already. So I think we're going to wrap it up for today. For those of you, if you do have variations on the questions and we didn't answer it specifically, we will reach out to you via email and send you a personalized answer. And we hope all of you join us for tomorrow's webinar and for the other ones that'll be forthcoming. And um, thank you all for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
I just want to let everybody know too. We'll have the slide deck and recorded webinar on our website, on our resources page that we can provide everybody at a later time. So we will have that available. So if you missed anything or want to go back through it with audio, we'll have it available to the participants.
Super, super. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day.